So this might actually be my last TBR video. No, I am not quitting BookTube or anything like that, but for reasons that I'm going to explain after I get through this list of what I plan to read in August, I hope you'll understand kind of where I'm coming from, and maybe it's a decision we'll be able to make together. So let's not waste any time. Let's get right into the first book I'm going to read in August, and it's actually a carryover from July, because as I'm filming it, today is July 23, I think, and that leaves about, a week to finish Fugitive Prince by Janny Wirtz. I'm really only about 20% into that as I film this, and it's going to take some time to get through. I also have a Patreon pick that I have to read before the end of July, so this one's not happening until August 1st, but it's a doozy. It's The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. Yeah, I know it's had some mixed reviews here on BookTube, but I have to say, for the kind of negatives that I've heard about this book, those to me are positives. Like I've heard, wow, it really leans into the humor a little bit more so than First Law. For me, you're talking my language. I think Joe Abercrombie, I've gone on record saying he is one of the funniest dudes that is writing in fantasy today by a mile. He might be the funniest. So hearing that as a criticism, that there's maybe more humor, forward than plot forward, sign me up. Completely cool with me. Joe Abercrombie, you're up first in August. All right, where am I going to put this one? Let's put that one there. It's signed. I don't want to throw that one on the floor. The next book coming up in August. All right, this was sent to me by the publisher. This is The Failures by Benjamin Liar, and I want to thank the publishers for sending me this because they only knew I existed, I think, because I happened to comment on one of Mike's videos where he was talking about his experience with The Failures. I don't know what this is about at all. I've not done any research. All I wrote was in that comment, that book sounds kind of cool from your experience. He seemed to have a good time with it. Mike and I align 98% of the time on books. Yeah, there are 2% we don't, but 98% of the time we do. The Failures, Benjamin Liar. I don't know, that's a cool name, right? If you're going to write a book, you're going to be in fiction. I think Liar is a pretty awesome name. All right. What's the next book that I've got up? Oh, the next book that I've got coming up in August is called The Likes and the Subscribes. Okay, now if you're not familiar with this book, you can participate. You do it by hitting the like button, that's the thumbs up button, and then you hit the subscribe button, and then you can read along. This isn't working, is it? Anyway, that's my pitch for liking and subscribing to the video. By the way, I never mentioned that notification bell. You should hit it and then activate on your phone that you will allow notifications from YouTube, because a lot of people are wondering, why don't I see your videos more? I've hit the notification bell and yet I never get notified. The reason is because in your phone you don't have notifications set to appear from YouTube. That is of key importance. All right. Enough of the joke of the likes and the subscribes. What's next? What could I possibly read in August that might sabotage, kibosh, whatever other word you want to throw in there, my reading plans because of sheer length and focus required? Oh, I don't know. How about a Malazan book? Let's do Reaper's Gale. Sure, why not? All right, so we'll hit The Devils, then we'll hit The Failures, then we'll hit the likes and subscribes, and then we're gonna hit Reaper's Gale. You know, if you've watched this channel at all, what a giant Malazan fan I have become. Ever since you guys, in one of the polls that we did about a year and a half ago, suggested that I read Gardens of the Moon, it won the poll. I wasn't planning to read Malazan at all at the time. I figured, you know what? I gotta give something back to the viewers of the channel. Well, I suppose they voted in Gardens of the Moon. I'll read it and find out what Malazan's all about. Fell in love with book one and haven't looked back since. I think right now my favorite might actually be Midnight Tides. I know that's not a super popular one. I know a lot of people will go back to Dead House Gates, sometimes Memories of Ice. I think The Bone Hunters, the most recent one that I read, is a big favorite of a lot of people's. But in my mind, Midnight Tides so far to me might be my favorite, but I suppose we'll figure that out as I get through the rest of them. I think Reaper's Gale's book 7, so I know that by book count, I'm getting close to the end, but I'm also aware that this book, Reaper's Gale, is somewhere close to 400,000 words. So I don't know exactly what I'm doing to myself by throwing this book like third on the list of the month, but you know, it's BellTube. We'll find out. Speaking of weird stuff, I don't know about these. I got a poll up running right now in the comment section of, not this video, but just kind of in the posts in the community section of the channel of BellTube itself about reading some manga. And the poll itself is asking, should I read this manga, One Piece? Should I read this manga, Berserk? I don't know. Right now, Berserk is in the lead. I'm gonna leave this poll open really as long as it takes until I figure out when I'm gonna get some manga on the channel. It's probably gonna be in August, I think, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I can get a hold of Rick Thunder's manager. Maybe instead of me reading this book or these mangas, maybe Rick wants to do it. Really hard to say with him. I don't know for sure, but that is always on the table. Of course, what else is on my table is a One for the Road coffee mug. Many of you have asked, where do I buy your merch? It's in the description of this video. There's a merch link. There is One for the Road mugs, One for the Road t-shirts. We got everything here. Guys, I'm a merch guy, you know that. Anyway, what else are we gonna read? We are gonna do on audio in Lit RPG, because yeah, we do Lit RPG here every month at BellTube. We're gonna do the Primal Hunter #4 by Zogarth, and it is voice performed by the one and only Travis Baldry. I didn't mean to push off Primal Hunter as long as I have, but some other books just got in the way. James A. Hunter did a great interview here on the channel. I'll link it right here in the description. He's the author of the Discount Dan books, and I couldn't just stop with Discount Dan. I had to get into book 2 as well. That's why Primal Hunter got pushed into August, and so that is kind of the plan there. All right, let's talk about what I opened up this video with a little bit and TBRs as a whole. The reason that I'm not sure that I want to do more TBR videos is because I'm starting to feel like TBR videos are more food for the algorithm than creative fuel for me. And let me just kind of preface all of this by saying I love watching other booktubers TBR. So this is not a shot across the bow at booktubers who make TBR videos, because I watch them all. Literally, you guys already know, if you're viewers of the channel, who I'm fans of. I love their TBR videos. It's like mandatory viewing for me, because I just purely enjoy it. And sometimes I get great ideas myself on books that I want to read. When it comes to the creative side of, building a channel though, I asked myself the other day, what do I like about making TBR videos? And answer number 1 was, they're easy to make, okay? They don't require any creativity on my end at all. I get a stack of books. I tell you what the names of them are, who the authors are. Sometimes I remember to put the link in the description, and we have a video for the algorithm, and we have a video for our viewers to watch. And these TBR videos, they get anywhere from like 800 views on the low end to maybe, 1,800 views on the high end. They're not great performers. They're not dead. And when I say, only 800, believe me, you guys, I understand that there's people watching this video that have channels that would be just completely blown away and happy with 800, views on anything that they do. I was one of them. I get it. But I'm also really growth focused as well too. I want things that I put my efforts into to show some tangible results from time to time. Not all the time. Some of them are just pure passion videos that I do, but TBRs are kind of like a monthly thing that I've been doing that haven't really been feeding me creatively. I feel like they're just kind of feeding the algorithm. And I don't know that if the only reason I can list my enjoyment of making a TBR video is that they're in fact easy to make, is a good enough reason to keep making them. Here's what I'd like to do regarding this piece of that, is that I'd like you guys in the comments below to let me know if you want me to make TBR videos or not. They don't take a lot of time, right? This video is going to be less than 20 minutes. They're easy to do once a month. The question is are you guys getting value out of it? If you are, specifically let me know what the value is. Are they just fun to watch? Do you get ideas? Or are they kind of toss-away videos that maybe you'll watch for 15 minutes or sometimes 3 or 4 minutes and just jump through the timestamps, find out what Brian's reading, and go to your next BookTube video or whatever else you're watching on YouTube? If that's the case, I can easily just make a list, right? Put it in the community post of, hey guys, this is what I'm reading for the month. Here you go. And we don't need to do a video. But if there are some real reasons that you want me to make TBR videos moving forward, please do let me know. I'm at kind of a mental space in my life right now that I would appreciate some viewer input. Not that that's going to be the directive that I take necessarily, but viewer input to me is really important because I do look at everything that we do here on the channel as a community. I, kind of said the word BellTube community, really, I think on the first video I ever made back in November of 2023. I can't believe we're coming up on 2 years already. And a lot of my booktuber friends are saying, you've only been doing this for like 1.5 years? It feels like you've been here forever. So I don't know if that's a compliment or I don't know if it's like the guest that would never leave, right? Once they came over, you just can't get them out. Maybe that's me. I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think about the TBR videos. And I want to talk about a one for the road today. And maybe it's a longer one. I don't know how long we're going to go on this video, but I want to talk about luck and timing on today's one for the road. And I took a couple of notes, so I might look down a little bit. But if you've watched this channel and all, and I said it earlier, a few minutes ago, I'm pretty goal-oriented. When I decide I want to do something, I will go 100% at it. I get real passionate about whatever it is, and then I hit go, and we hit the accelerator, we hit the gas, and we just go. And it's occurred to me in my, I know I'm a little bit older than most of you guys that watch this, but I started to think about something that I heard many years ago. I was probably about 18, maybe 20-ish, and I had some business mentors kind of tell me, don't wait for luck. You need to work hard and make your own luck. And I really believed that. And I'm beginning to question that 30 years later down the road. And I started to think about like prodigies, right? Like we think about prodigies as somebody like Mozart, for example, right? So Mozart was 5 years old, was composing, was performing in front of royalty at 5, right? So we know Mozart's brain was wired differently than the average person's, right? However, he was also born to another musician and a musician instructor, right? He also was living in the time in Austria where what he did was absolutely the toast of the town. Composing music, playing piano, performances, that was the big thing in Austria at the time. So timing had a huge part of that. Would his brain, I should say, have still been wired geniusly? Of course. But if his dad would have been a plumber instead of a music, scholar and performer, would he have been the Mozart that we know now? I don't know. Let's talk about another one. Let's talk about Magnus Carlsen. I'm a big chess fan, and Magnus Carlsen, if you're unaware, is currently the best player on earth, okay, in chess. And he might actually be the best player of all time. But let's talk about Magnus Carlsen. His brain is wired for pattern recognition, okay? He can recognize patterns and solve puzzles that the average person could never do in a million years. It's just how his brain is wired. That said, he had a chessboard sitting in front of him when he was like 4 or 5 years old. His father noticed that he had an aptitude for it and got grandmasters to teach him. He lives in the world of the internet age where he could play against competition from around the planet to improve his skills. Would Magnus Carlsen be Magnus Carlsen if he lived 400 years ago? Probably not. The opportunity and the timing was probably not there for him to be the prodigy that we know today. Let's talk about the Williams sisters, right? Venus and Serena. They were born in Compton, right? But their father wrote a 76-page basically outline plan on how his daughters were going to become tennis champions. He moved them to better neighborhoods. He got them the best instructors. The neighborhoods that they moved into had a higher level of competition. So did they work hard? Absolutely. Did they have the innate physical talents and skills to do it? 100%. Had their father not put them in that situation to thrive, would we have ever heard of them? Again, probably not. My last example is going to be Bill Gates. Now, we know Bill Gates as a genius businessman, of course, and changed the world with his computer programming as well. But did you know that when Bill Gates went to high school, he had, a high school that had one of the very few computers in the entire United States, right? There weren't that many, high schools that had a computer. Bill Gates happened to go to one, and he spent thousands of hours programming on that computer before any of us even saw a computer in our lives. Now, is Bill Gates' brain wired different than ours? Absolutely. What happens if he goes to a high school that doesn't have a computer and he does something else entirely? Is he still Bill Gates? So I don't know. And you might be asking, well, Brian, get to the point, right? This is the long one for the road. What are you talking about here? It gets back to what I was mentioning earlier about when I was like 19 or 20, where somebody, very important to me said, I don't believe in luck. I believe in making your own luck. And you can do that, but you can only get so far sometimes trying to make your own luck. Certain pieces have to fall in place, timing-wise, opportunity-wise. It doesn't really matter. But the things that we look at and idolize sometimes in life may not have happened. All the amazing things about those people aside, let's give them their due, right? Especially the ones that I mentioned, both either in brain ability, physical ability, whatever it is. Yes, those are, inherent. I'm not cutting this. I'm not editing this. They are traits that they are innate to that person. However, for us, we have to be able to have a little bit of luck in our lives too. And timing is really important. So what's the point of this entire one for the road? The point of this one for the road is to try to give yourself a break. If you've been working really hard at something, and I know I personally have, and maybe this is just a message to myself, I'm not sure. But if you've been working at something really hard and it hasn't panned out the way that you wanted to, maybe take a step back and say, okay, yeah, there's course corrections I might be able to make. Yeah, there are things that, maybe I can improve on skills-wise, abilities-wise, that type of thing. But also, is it possible that the timing might not be right? And is it possible that luck just might not have fallen in your favor? And I think that the answer is an unequivocal yes. It is absolutely possible. You just might be a victim of bad luck from time to time. And that's just the reality of it. I love the idea of saying you go out and make your own luck. You pull your boots up from your bootstraps or whatever that saying is. I love that thought, right? Because that empowers us. That gives us the idea that anything is possible. But I'm here to tell you, somebody who's probably a few years older than you are, everything is possible given the right circumstances, all kind of coming together and converging at the right time. That's what I've got for you guys today. Let me know in the comments what you guys are going to read for August. Like I said, let me know in the comments if you want me to keep doing TBR videos. I feel like I talked more on the one for the road today than I did on the TBR portion, which is kind of cool. For that reason alone, maybe I'll just use TBRs as kind of a reason to get up and talk to you guys. I've got more lives coming up. We've got some new For Whom the Bell Tolls on the way. Those are going to be exciting. For now, everybody, stay positive. And of course, here's your fortune.